Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into a case that's been haunting people for over 3 decades. Yeah, the Springfield Three.
The case that really gets to you. I mean, it makes you think about, safety and just how quickly things can change. 1 minute, three women are just living their lives and then poof, gone.
Vanished, like into thin air.
Yeah, no trace.
Cheryl Levitt, her daughter, Susie Streeter, and Susie's friend, Stacy McCall, disappeared.
From Levitt's home in Springfield, Missouri.
June 7th, 1992, right at the start of summer.
Should have been a happy time.
Susie and Stacy had just graduated from Kickapoo High School.
All set for a water park trip
Mm-hmm.
the next day, and then nothing.
It's crazy how the ordinary stuff, like planning a trip to a water park just makes it all more like,
Yeah, I get it. Like you see these snapshots of their lives right before everything changed.
yeah, exactly. And then there are those strange details like a broken porch light,
Mm.
a mysterious, like erased answering machine message,
Right.
purses and cars, totally untouched. It's
Right.
just creepy.
Yeah, you got to wonder. I mean, sometimes those little things, the seemingly insignificant stuff, it ends up being the key to the whole thing.
Like, could the broken porch light mean there was a struggle or maybe someone trying to mislead investigators?
Maybe?
I never thought about it like that. Okay, so let's try to lay out the timeline. It all begins on June 6, 1992, graduation night for Susie and Stacy.
Right. They went to their ceremony, then hit up some parties. Typical graduation stuff.
First, a party in Battlefield, Missouri, then another at Stacy's friend's house, Michelle Elder, back in Springfield.
Sound about right.
Now, here's the thing. The party at Michelle's was broken up by the police. 1:50 a.m. Noise complaint, I think. Could that be connected?
It's possible, I guess. I mean, in a case like this, you can't rule anything out. You really have to scrutinize every single detail, no matter how small.
Right. Okay. So after that party, Susie and Stacy go to their friend Janelle Kirby's house back in Battlefield.
They were going to crash there, but Janelle had a bunch of family in town for her graduation, so.
So they decided to go to Susie's mom's house on East Delmar.
Exactly. Susie was actually excited to show Stacy her new, like, king-sized waterbed.
It's those little things that
Yeah,
just,
Yeah, it really gets to you.
it's heartbreaking. And speaking of things that are kind of unsettling, remember those, quote, strange and disturbing, end quote, calls that Janelle had mentioned? Well, she got those at her house before Susie and Stacy even left for Levitt's.
Really? So before they even went missing?
Yeah. She told the police the caller sounded teenish and, was making all these sexual innuendos. It freaked her out so much she just hung up.
Wow. Okay, so now the question is, were those just prank calls? Or is it something more sinister? Could they be connected?
Yeah, that's a little creepy.
It adds a whole other layer to this, doesn't it?
For sure. So anyway, they leave Janelle's around 2 a.m., heading to Levitt's. And get this, Janelle told the police that she overheard Susie say, "Follow me to my house," and Stacy was like, "Okay, I will."
Those were like the last known words anyone heard from them.
Like a bad dream or something.
I know, it's chilling.
So they get to Levitt's house sometime around 2 a.m., but after that,
Silence.
no one spoke to them, no calls, nothing.
And remember, Cheryl's last contact was a phone call with a friend around 11:14 the night before. They were talking about redecorating an armoire.
Really? Wow.
Then nothing.
It's almost as if they just stepped into another dimension.
It's bizarre.
Okay, so the next morning, the mystery gets even weirder. Around 9 a.m., Janelle Kirby and her boyfriend, Mike Henson, go to Levitt's. They were going to meet up with Susie and Stacy to go to Whitewater.
The water park in Branson.
Right. But they get there, and the front door's unlocked. And remember that broken porch light we talked about?
Yeah.
They find that too. So now you have to wonder, was it an accident, or could it be like, a sign of foul play?
It's a big question, right? So, I mean, it could mean a struggle, or someone broke in, or maybe even the perpetrator trying to stage a scene.
Did they ever figure out if it was broken from the inside or outside?
I don't think so. The scene was kind of messed up before the police got there. Janelle and Mike had gone inside, and they think maybe 10, 20 people were in and out of that house before anyone called the police. Whoever swept up the broken glass, well, that could have been valuable evidence.
Oh, man. Talk about a missed opportunity. So they find the door unlocked, the porch light's broken, but no sign of their friends. What do?
Well, they don't immediately jump to, foul play. They thought maybe Susie and Stacy changed their plans. Maybe they went to a different water park. So they go to Hydroslide.
That's another water park, right?
Yeah, in Springfield.
It makes sense, I guess. They were young, probably thought their friends were just off having fun somewhere.
Yeah, but as the day goes on, the worry starts to set in. Stacy's mother, Janice McCall, she can't reach Stacy all day.
Oh, no.
So she calls some friends who work at Whitewater. Stacy wasn't there. She wasn't at either park.
So now things are getting serious.
Janice rushes over to Levitt's house, and guess what? The front door is unlocked.
Two sets of people, same thing. Was this normal for them?
I don't know, it's strange, right? But anyway, Janice goes inside, and she finds all three of their purses just laying on the floor in Susie's bedroom.
Okay.
And get this, Cheryl's purse still had over $800 in cash from her job. She was a cosmetologist.
So if it was a robbery, why leave the money? It doesn't make sense.
I know, and it gets weirder. Giannis also found makeup wipes, Stacy's clothes all folded from the night before, cigarettes, and a half-empty can of Coke.
It's like they just disappeared in the middle of getting ready. What about the dog? Wasn't there a dog?
Cinnamon, yeah, he was there. Apparently, he was super agitated when Janelle and her boyfriend got there that morning, and when Janice got there, he ran straight to her, almost like he's trying to tell her something.
Oh, man, that's sad. Like, what did that dog see?
Who knows? Animals pick up on things, though. Maybe he sensed something was wrong. Maybe he even saw something that could help solve this.
So Janice calls the police, right, from the house.
Yeah, she was frantic, obviously.
And then she did something that would really come back to haunt investigators.
She checked the answering machine.
Uh-oh.
There was a message. She said it sounded strange. But she was so panicked, she accidentally erased it.
Oh, no. You have to feel for her, though. What if that message had a clue, a voice, anything that could have helped the police?
It's a question that's been hanging over this case for years. Just a horrible twist of fate.
It's like trying to solve a puzzle with some of the pieces missing. So the police get there, and they're faced with a scene that just doesn't make sense. No signs of a struggle, no forced entry, everything's left behind, and that answering machine message is gone. It's just baffling.
And that's where the real investigation starts. It took them down a winding path. Dead ends, false leads.
Clues that never quite fit together.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've gone over the timeline, those weird details, the questions that no one seems to have an answer to. What's next?
Let's get into the suspects and the theories. We need to look at the people connected to the case, what evidence there is, and all the speculation that's been going on for over 3 decades.
Coming up after the break, we'll be right back with part 2 of our deep dive into the baffling case of the Springfield Three.
The police, they had their work cut out for them, you
Yeah.
know. I mean, the scene was almost like it was staged.
Right. Like, what do you even do with that?
And not much evidence.
Yeah.
And on top of all that, the crime scene was, well, it was compromised.
Yeah, we talked about that. It's like trying to put a puzzle together, but someone keeps swiping pieces.
It makes it almost impossible to figure out what happened. And it's a good reminder that those little details can be super important.
You really have to wonder what evidence was lost before they could even start the investigation.
Right.
So where did they even begin? Any early leads?
Well, one of the first people they looked into was a guy named Robert Craig Cox.
Okay.
He was already doing time. Kidnapping and robbery.
So someone already on their radar.
Yeah. And he said he knew about the Springfield Three. Said he knew what happened to them.
Wow. What did he say? Like, give me the details.
He claimed he knew they were murdered and that their bodies would never be found, told anyone who would listen.
That's a bold statement. Did he say what happened? Or where the bodies might be?
Not really. And the police, they didn't buy it. They thought he was just trying to get attention, Maybe he was just enjoying the attention.
It's weird, isn't it? Wanting to be a part of something tragic, even if it means making stuff up. Did they ever figure out why he'd do that?
Some people think it's like a need for attention, or maybe they want to feel important. Like this was his chance to be, someone in the know.
I guess, in a way, it's like a messed up kind of celebrity, but based on something awful.
Yeah. But even if they didn't believe him, his claims must have really added to the fear.
Oh, for sure. I mean, just the thought that they might have been murdered and their bodies hidden forever.
I can't even imagine. And you know what? He said he'd tell the truth when his mother died.
Did he?
Nope. Never happened.
So another dead end. What else did the police look into?
Well, there was another guy, Dustin Rackla. He was Susie Streeter's ex-boyfriend.
Okay.
A few months before the women disappeared, he broke into a mausoleum, stole gold fillings from a skull.
What? That's really disturbing. Why would someone do that?
No one really knows. Some people thought it was just a messed up prank. Others figured he was going to try and sell the gold. But either way, it definitely made the police suspicious.
And this was connected to Susie Streeter.
Yeah, she had given the police a statement about it, the mausoleum break-in, I mean. And there were rumors that she was going to be a witness against him.
Oh, wow.
And get this, he and his buddies were supposedly in the area the night they vanished.
That's definitely a coincidence. So did they ever actually find any proof connecting him to the disappearances?
They never could. Even though they were suspicious, they just couldn't tie him to the case.
That must have been so hard for the families. Knowing this guy who'd done something so messed up might have been involved in their loved ones disappearing.
It's a really tough situation. And even though he was never charged, people always suspected him.
It's a good reminder that even when there's no conviction, just being suspected can be awful. So we've got Robert Craig Cox looking for his 15 minutes, and Dustin Rekla with his shady past. Anyone else? Were there other suspects?
Over the years, there have been tons of tips, tons of theories, some crazier than others. But one that really stuck in everyone's mind had to do with the Cox Hospital parking garage.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about that. What was it about?
Someone said they were buried there, underneath the parking garage.
That's just awful.
I know. But the police, they had to check it out, every lead, no matter what.
Did they actually, dig up the parking garage?
Well, not exactly. Back in 2007, they used ground-penetrating radar, scanned the area, and they did find 3 anomalies.
Anomalies. What does that even mean?
It basically means something unusual. They thought maybe it could have been graves.
I bet that was a scary moment. What happened?
It turned out to be nothing. They figured out that they actually started building the parking garage in September of '93.
Way after the women disappeared.
Yeah.
Man, what a letdown. Up and down, up and down. Do we know where that tip even came from?
They never said. Some
Okay.
people said a psychic. Others thought someone had a dream about it.
Crazy. It's like when there's no real information, we try to fill in the blanks with whatever we can.
I think we all just want to understand, you know? We want to know why things happen, especially when it's something awful. But with this case, there just aren't any answers.
So even with all the leads, all the theories, it's still unsolved. What happened after that parking garage lead fizzled out? Did the police just give up?
You know, one thing that's really interesting about this case is that law enforcement never gave up. The Springfield police, they're still working on it.
I guess that must be a little comforting to the families knowing that someone's still trying even after all this time. But after so many years, so many dead ends, what are the chances they'll figure out what happened?
This case just shows how hard it is to figure out what happens to missing people. You have all this conflicting info, memories that are fading, and of course, time just keeps marching on.
It just makes it harder and harder, right? But even so, even after all this time, there's still got to be hope. I mean, they solve cold cases all the time, sometimes with new technology, sometimes just by looking at the old evidence in a new way.
That's true. And don't forget about the public. This case has captured everyone's imagination. There are podcasts, documentaries, even websites all about the Springfield Three.
It's amazing how some cases just grab hold of us and don't let go. Why this case, do you think? Why has this one resonated so much with people?
I think it's a lot of things. It's how they vanished. There's no motive. There's so many unanswered questions. But it's also that these were normal women. It makes us realize that it could happen to anyone.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Even when you feel safe, something like this could happen.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes us want to find out what happened to try to make sense of it all.
So we've covered the investigation, the possible suspects, the dead ends, and why everyone's so fascinated by this case. But we still don't know what happened to Cheryl, Susie, and Stacy.
It's the question that everyone keeps asking. For over 30 years, investigators, families, everyone. And we may never know for sure, but we can look at what we do know, the different theories, try to put the pieces together, even if some are missing.
Where do we go from here? What are the main theories about what might have happened?
Well, there are a few theories that people have been talking about for years, some stronger than others. One idea is that it was a random act of violence, maybe someone just passing through town.
It's a terrifying thought. Anyone could be taken for no reason. But, with this case, there's no sign of a struggle, no forced entry. It seems too easy to just blame it on some random person.
That's a good point. And that's why some people think the answer has to do with someone they knew, someone who knew their routine.
So maybe Dustin Rekla, right? Or could it be someone else we haven't even talked about?
That's the thing with cold cases. There are so many possibilities, and sometimes the truth is right there in front of us.
It's like we're looking for anything out of the ordinary, things that don't fit. What about the theory that they might have stumbled onto something they weren't supposed to, something bigger and more dangerous?
That's where it starts to feel like a movie. Did these women accidentally get mixed up with organized crime? Were they victims of a conspiracy? It's fascinating and scary all at the same time.
Like something you'd see in Hollywood. But Springfield isn't exactly known for organized crime, is it?
Not really. But there have been rumors, about drug trafficking, illegal gambling, even some whispers about police corruption. But it's hard to find proof, just like with everything else in this case.
So we're left with theories, rumors, a feeling that something's wrong beneath the surface. It's kind of like we're looking into the dark, not knowing what's hiding there.
It is. And I think that's what draws people in. We're scared of the unknown, of things that are out of our control. It makes us wonder what's really going on around us.
Yeah, it really makes you think even in the most ordinary places, there can be dark secrets. So what we have is a case with no easy answers, a bunch of theories, each one more interesting and unsettling than the last. So many questions. Memories are fading, and the trail's gone cold. But even after all these years, there's still hope. Maybe someday the truth will come out.
That's the power of this case. Even with something so tragic, hope never dies. Cheryl, Susie, and Stacy's families never gave up. And the investigators, they never did either. And you never know, someone listening to this right now might remember something, some little detail that could change everything.
That's why it's important to keep talking about these cases, keep trying to find answers, even when it feels hopeless. You never know when a new piece of information might show up, when someone might see something they missed before.
Even the tiniest thing could be what we need. It could be the key to solving this. So we really want to encourage everyone to check out the resources in the show notes, take a closer look, see the evidence yourself, and if you remember anything at all, please contact the authorities.
It doesn't matter how small it seems, anything could help. The truth is out there, somewhere. And maybe, just maybe, with your help, we can finally figure out what happened. Bring some peace to the families who have been waiting all this time. We've been through so much with this case, a confusing timeline, strange clues, a whole bunch of suspects. But sometimes I wonder, is the answer just staring us in the face? Could it really be that Cheryl, Susie, and Stacy were just, victims of some random act of violence, some stranger passing through town?
I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the scary part, that anyone could be taken anywhere for no reason at all. But those stranger abductions, they're not that common statistically.
So if we're going by the numbers, it seems more likely that someone they knew was involved. We keep coming back to Dustin Reckless, Susie's ex-boyfriend. He had that history of, disturbing behavior. Is it possible he just snapped? I mean, the breakup, the mausoleum thing, maybe it all just got to him.
It's definitely something investigators considered. There's some things about him that are, suspicious. He was in the area that night. He had that criminal record. And Susie could have been a witness against him.
But the police ruled him out, right?
Yeah, they couldn't find any hard evidence to link him to the disappearances. And, you can't convict someone on suspicion alone. But it's tough with a case like this. There are so many unknowns. You can't really rule anything out completely.
It's interesting, this whole idea of evidence. We don't have a crime scene. We don't have bodies, no witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
So what counts as evidence? Is it just stuff you can physically see and touch, or can it be something, more like a gut feeling, a pattern, something that just doesn't make sense?
That's a really interesting point, and it's part of what makes cold cases so difficult. Sometimes the most important evidence is what's missing, the gaps in the story, the things that don't add up.
So we're looking for things that are out of place, things that just feel wrong. Okay. What about that other theory? That maybe they saw something they shouldn't have, that they got caught up in something bigger and more dangerous.
That's where this case starts to feel almost like a movie, doesn't it? The idea that they stumble onto something connected to organized crime, that they became, victims of a conspiracy, a cover-up. It's fascinating and scary all at the same time.
Like something you'd see in a film. But is there anything to support it? I mean, Springfield isn't exactly a hub for organized crime, right?
True. But there's always been talk about, drug trafficking, illegal gambling, even some rumors about police corruption. But again, it's all whispers. It's hard to find any real proof.
So we're left with these theories, rumors, a feeling that something's not quite right, like we're looking into the dark, not knowing what's hiding there.
That's a good way to put it. And I think that's one of the reasons this case is so captivating. It speaks to our deepest fears, the unknown, the things we can't control. It makes us wonder what's really going on around us if there are things happening that we don't even know about, things that could change our lives in an instant.
Yeah, it really makes you think. Even in the most normal places, there are secrets. So here we are with a case that we can't explain, all these theories, each one stranger than the last, unanswered questions, memories that are fading. and a trail that's gone cold. But even now, after all these years, there's still a sliver of hope, right? Maybe someday the truth will come out.
Absolutely. And that's really what makes this case so powerful. Hope never dies, even when faced with something so terrible. The families of Cheryl, Susie, and Stacy never gave up hope, and neither did the investigators. And, maybe someone listening to this right now might have a memory, a detail, something small that could be the missing piece.
That's why we have to keep talking about these cases, keep searching. Even when it seems hopeless, you never know when something new might come up, when someone might see something they missed before.
Even the smallest thing could change everything. So we really hope you'll check out the resources we have in the show notes, look at the case, see the evidence yourself, and if you remember anything, please contact the authorities.
Anything at all could help. The truth is out there. And with your help, maybe we can finally figure out what happened to Cheryl, Susie, and Stacy, bring some peace to their families.